So let's move on to handout 2I, which is going to be talking about the next biomolecule, fat. Fat is also known as lipids. So I just wrote here that fats are a major type of lipid that are ingested by our body and broken down. Um, there are parts of our body that obviously are made up of fat. You think of body fat. Body fat is a type of fat called triglycerides. So it says they're composed of glycerol and a fatty acid. They make up 95% of the fats in our body, and they're what you think of when you think of body fat. Um, we also have some other fats that make up components of our body. Phospholipids are going to be a fat that makes up most of our plasma membranes around our cells, and we'll talk about them more a little bit in chapter 3. And then another example of fats in our body will be steroids. And our body uses steroid fats primarily as hormones. Our sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone, are steroid fats. Another example is cholesterol. Now, we get cholesterol in our diet, but actually what we eat is not used by our body. In fact, it only really has a negative consequence, remember, where you've probably heard that cholesterol is not good for you. The reason for that is it becomes trapped in our bloodstream and can accumulate as plaque on the inside of our blood vessels. The cholesterol that we do use in our body, our liver actually manufactures, along with some other steroids like bile salts. These are going to be digestive chemicals. We also have some fat-soluble vitamins. Instead of dissolving in water, vitamins A, E, D, and K dissolve in fat. And I just thought I'd mention here at the bottom of this handout the two types of fat that we think of when we think of dietary fats. Saturated fat, they are made of single bonds. You don't really have to worry about that. But saturated fat are animal fats. So the fats that we get in things like beef, pork, bacon, burgers, butter, eggs, dairy, these are saturated fats. Animal fats are typically not good for us because they can lead to things like heart disease. And they're not a dietary necessity. We don't need any saturated fat in our diet to survive. Unsaturated fats are plant fats, and the difference is their bonding. They have double bonds instead of single bonds. But these are plant fats. I don't know why I only have olive oil listed, but it's all vegetable oil. Canola oil, olive oil, corn oil. Any vegetable oil is unsaturated fat. And it turns out that we actually need certain unsaturated fats to maintain a healthy diet. So it's not necessary to have saturated fat, but it is necessary to have some unsaturated fats. You've probably heard of like omega-3 fatty acids and stuff. Those are a type of plant fats. And then for here, just to elaborate a little more on cholesterol. Cholesterol, we're going to talk about in chapter 3, but cholesterol is going to also make up part of our cell membrane along with phospholipids. And it is still part of this test. We'll talk about chapter 3 next week, so, it's a good thing to just kind of have in your bank as we go into chapter 3. All right, so that takes care of this handout. Pretty simple. It's a little 5-minute video on this one. So we're going to get to our last biomolecule next, which is nucleic acid. We're going to talk about a couple of processes that you need to know the basics of, and then we'll be able to move on into chapter 3. So look for the next video, and I will see you hopefully soon. I am feeling a little better. As you can tell, it sounds like I have a cold. That's kind of how I feel. I'll tell you, the worst thing about COVID is definitely the lack of taste. It's just so weird to be eating something and really not taste it. All you feel is the texture in your mouth, and you don't really taste anything. So that's what really sucks. Right now, my lungs are good, and I've been sneezing a lot. My coughing is going down. I have been sneezing, but hopefully, nothing gets into my lungs. I know that's where things go bad if COVID becomes serious. So I think I'm okay. Hopefully I'll be seeing you next week. So I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.